Hello. I'm specifically talking to, I don't know who you would call them. Anyone that doesn't trust their own ability to create boundaries around around deciding how they feel on something. I've just been journaling. And I want to read it because I think I don't know how to express it any better than what I've wrote, but I'm just understanding some of the loopholes my brain has created in order to keep me in a feeling or sense of safety. But it's really like fucking with me, and it's taking away my power, is like ultimately what it's doing. And I think I should just start reading. It starts with context. This is just my situation with somebody. And I'm realizing that I'm expecting, or it's not that I'm expecting too much, but I'm doing what I said that I'm trying not to do anymore, which is, I'm happy that I'm realizing it, which is just taking my vulnerability and my needs somewhere where if I took 2 seconds to think about it, I would know it's not actually safe for me to take them there. I'm ultimately just kind of like setting myself up for experiencing like rejection. Like I'm not being responsible with my emotions, essentially. Anyway, I'll start reading. I want things of a partner and expect things like I'd expect them from a partner from someone who isn't. Essentially setting myself up for rejection or failure and not necessarily taking my vulnerability, my needs to a safe place where I know they'll be met. Also, I don't take them to myself as a first port of call. I mean, I do sit with myself, but only out of necessity. When it comes to closure or a feeling finally being held, if it involves a man, I take it to that man instead. I think my motives are innocent enough and well-intended in a relationship, I guess, but ultimately it's not what I need. I think it comes from being in the extreme of going to no one, having tried to go to someone in relationship and having been rejected, putting me on this path of needing to find someone that will hold me to heal that rejection wound. Right now, for example, he has replied that he's not free to talk. Didn't elaborate time or an opportunity where he might be free, nothing. That no sorry feels like this is icky feelings, so hopefully this doesn't trigger anyone. This no sorry feels like I don't have time for you. I'm avoiding what you want me to say. I'm avoiding what you want to say to me. I don't want to show up for you. You're asking for too much. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about you. I'm embarrassed for you. Leave me alone. Never speak to me again. You're too needy. You're too much. I don't want you. You're pathetic. Go away. I don't have time for you. I don't want to make time for you. You don't matter to me. I shouldn't have to deal with you. You're unimportant, etc. My mind goes to think that he's replaced me already. He doesn't care about me. He's repulsed by me. And it reflects back to me all in these feelings and thoughts that orbit the idea that I'm a burden, that my emotions are burdensome, and I am too much. I am an issue, I'm a problem, and I am something that can only be dealt with by turning it away. These are all very big things that come from a no sorry. The thing is, even if any of those things are his motivations, it doesn't make any of it true. Though I've believed in how I felt, however, I'm going to change the wording. However, I've believed in how I've felt as a result of people's treatment of me. I've believed in how I felt as a result of people's treatment of me more than I've chosen to believe in myself, to validate myself or comfort myself. I believe that the way that the other person was acting was implicitly more valid and true than my own feelings, and that's not true. I no longer believe it to be true. Of course, with him, I'd love for him to be open and willing to talk to me no matter what, but he might be busy or he might actually just be avoidant. Either way, whatever it is, that's where he's at. It's not a reflection of me. It's not personal to me, my worth, or my character. Why am I constantly checking to see if he's seen my messages or replied? Because I want connection, I want comfort, and I want answers to be given to me. I want to wait to see what he does before making any decision or creating a boundary. I am allowing my sense of safety to come from The unpredictability of somebody else's actions, replies, thoughts, or feelings. I'm finding a growing sense of tiredness of this tendency of mine. I'm growing tired of holding myself tense and alert, waiting to know how I should be feeling. I'm growing out of it, I can feel it, but I'm not quite there yet. I know I feel dissatisfied, unloved, uncared for. Whether or not that's his intention doesn't really matter right now. These feelings aren't necessarily rounded out only by this instance. These feelings are older, they've existed before, and I have not recognized them. To recognize them would mean I would have to do something about them. Well, not that I would have to necessarily, but I could sit in them and do nothing about them until he made a move. But the way that I want to love myself is by working through and comforting my emotions when I feel them. The key here is when. I've made that promise to love myself in that way. I want to stand by that promise, but I also don't want to let this person go because of my fears of abandonment and rejection. What would my brain do in order to please both of these things? Not observe my own feelings, for the knowledge of my feelings would require me to make a decision that threatens the security of this person being in my life. I'm choosing to keep them instead of see myself. And that's where I finished. Because I just didn't really know where to go from there. Because I don't think I know where to go from it. I think that's just kind of where it stops. Ultimately, I'm just seeing myself prioritize having somebody in my life as a placeholder of this idea of security, rather than, even when I know it's like not actually secure, you know, like even when I've been shown and told, and you know, it's been exemplified to me that this thing that I'm telling myself is my security isn't actually secure at all. I'm still putting my eggs in that basket rather than just turning to myself for security. And kind of like I said, like I sit with myself, I sit with my emotions, I sit with my emotions as they come up, because usually nobody else is there. So I'll see myself through my emotions. But when it comes to problem solving and when it comes to finding a solution or having closure, especially in the context of another person or a thing with another person, it doesn't even need to be anything bad, just how I'm just in terms of my feelings to do with another person. There's something that always pushes me and drives me to have to discuss it with that person before I make any call on how I feel or how I see the situation or how I value the situation. It's always I don't just see myself through the emotions, check in with myself, and then allow it to be resolved completely on my side. Nothing. I always want to talk it through with this other person to gain closure. And don't get me wrong, I don't think you shouldn't talk through how you're feeling with a partner or with a friend, but not as the way that you need closure on the situation. I think that's the nuance that I'm finding, is that I think it's good that I want to go to friends and partners with my feelings, but not when that conversation, it's a good conversation to have to deepen trust and awareness of one another, but it's not a good conversation to have if that's the conversation that I'm relying on for security and stability and closure. You know? I think I'm figuring it out. It is a nice feeling though, to feel myself growing out of this tendency. It doesn't come in the best way. It does come of me just kind of being I'm sick of being like this. And I'm trying not to direct that feeling too heavily inwards, you know? I'm trying not to make that a very personal feeling. I'm trying not to be I'm sick of myself. I'm trying to just be hey, notice that there is currently a pattern and a behavior and a tendency within you that is no longer in alignment with you. You're not sick of yourself. You're just recognizing that the way that you've been previously up until this point is now no longer working for you. And that is a good sign. It is a sign of growth. And it is a sign that I'm actually wanting to be there for myself a bit more. And it's a sign that that part of me that I guess has always been there, but has never really maybe had the fuel or the strength or the belief in it, you know, that more masculine presence inside of me. Because that's essentially what it boils down to, is that like that feeling of security, that feeling of closure, of comfort, of safety, me outsourcing that. I guess like up until this point, like I haven't really believed that I've had that in myself, because I've never really gone to myself for that before. Like I've been saying, I just outsource it into those like conversations that, again, good conversations to have, but not for the intention that I'm having them. But now I think that part of me is like growing, or at least growing confidence, or growing certainty that it can do its job. It's like reawakening a part of myself. It's like, oh, you need me to do my job? You're no longer doing like the outsourcey shitty thing. Well, not shitty thing, it's a coping thing. You're no longer doing that. That means I can do my job. I'm awake. It's kind of like that happening. Anyway. Sick. I don't know. No, I think this is a change that's going to be pretty permanent. I think I'm probably going to be tested, but like I've been tested. I've been having like just, I think I'm in a growth period. I'm in a growth period at the moment. Makes a lot of sense with what's going on in the stars. Past 2 weeks though, oh my god, there's been a lot going on in this little noggin, and there's been a lot testing me. I don't think I've failed the test, but I'm just definitely learning a lot in like the past 2 weeks. I've just been in a constant state of like, oh, and like learning and changing and adapting, and like it feels kind of great because I'm seeing myself differently. Like I'm not the same person that I was a month ago, and that's a good thing. Not that the month ago me was a bad thing. She wasn't. She was just different, and she was just not ready for how I am now. How I am now is just how I am now, and for whatever reason, there's multiple, but it's happening, and I'm proud, and I'm happy. And I hope maybe you can see yourself doing the same thing sometime soon. And if not, that's okay too. Maybe a little bit of my journal can maybe inspire you a bit, because it's certainly inspiring me. I'm in like a little bit of shock as to how stable I feel right now. Like also with that writing out, like I know that I have rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Like I know that I don't take rejection. Like I have any rejection, any perceived rejection, I take really to heart. And I don't know if that is just purely rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or just the fear of rejection, that wound of rejection, whatever it is. But you know, like somebody just like me asking somebody to talk and then just saying no, sorry, brings up so many aggressive feelings of rejection inside of me, and just writing them out felt so much better than sitting with them inside of my head. And I feel like a broken record saying that, because I feel like that's just the most obvious thing ever, especially somebody who's been journaling as long as I have. You'd think I would have figured that one out, but I haven't yet, apparently, because I've just never tried it. I've always like been in that feeling of rejection, and it's just paralyzing, and it just like chokes me emotionally, and I never think, oh, I'm just gonna write out all these awful things that I'm thinking. Typically I just write out the awful things that I'm thinking in a very analytical way, but I never just like write out exactly what I'm thinking in terms of like feeling an awful feeling of rejection, just being like, this is what my head is telling me. But it's always very analytical and very like, I'm feeling this way and I think it's because of this. But that was so cathartic, just like seeing everything that these 2 words sparked inside of me. And it's like, actually, Annabelle, none of those things were said to you. Those are everything that you're feeling because of your own stuff, and it's okay. They're not telling you that. This person's not telling you those things, and none of those things are true, and you're allowed to believe in that. That's nice. It's very cathartic. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat some rice, maybe an apple. I told myself I'd start my assignment today, and I didn't. Woo! It's my last assignment. I need to do it, but I haven't. That's okay. I will. Bye! Hope you're having a good time. Hope the full moon's been great. Happy May. See ya.